Haley didn't lose her marriage first. She lost her reputation at work. Her husband told coworkers she was cheating and that their child wasn't his, and suddenly HR was calling, daycare was checking policy, and strangers were acting like they knew her life. If you've ever been smeared like that, share what happened to you in the comments. Haley Steinfeld is reviewing a batch record when her phone starts vibrating against the stainless bench. She finishes the line she's on, saves the file, and only then picks it up. Messages stack up. Coworkers asking if she's okay, numbers she doesn't recognize, a vague "heard something." She puts the phone down, checks one more entry, then walks out of the QA bay. In the hallway, two analysts stop talking mid-sentence. A supervisor looks past her shoulder like he's waiting for someone else. One of them says it anyway. HR is looking for you. Haley nods and keeps moving. Her phone buzzes again. Ethan's name flashes. She ignores it and heads toward the employee lot. Ethan is by her car, leaning on the driver's side door as if it's his. He straightens when he sees her. "I told everyone," he says. Haley slows, keeping space between them. "What did you tell everyone?" Ethan lifts his chin. "Don't act. I'm done with the performance." Then he drops it. "Our kid isn't mine." He doesn't offer a reason. He doesn't ask a question. He just plants it there and watches her react. Haley glances at her badge, at the last name she never bothered to change. "Next time you email HR," she says flat, "add Cole to my name so you spell it right." His expression tightens. "You think this is funny." "I think you're standing at my car during my shift," she says. "That's what I think." He pushes off the door. "You can fix this the easy way," he says, "or you can keep pretending." He walks off before she answers, phone in his hand. Haley watches him go, then turns back toward the building, because there's no version of this where she gets to stay in the parking lot. HR's door is half closed. A woman Haley knows motions her into a chair and rotates a monitor. "We received an anonymous complaint," she says. The email on screen is blunt. An affair, a lie about paternity, ethical concerns that make Haley a risk to the company. At the bottom, a line that makes her stomach go still. Her husband confirmed it. Haley reads the timestamp. It's the exact window her access log shows her signed into the QA station. No breaks, no gaps. "The sender address is unusual," the HR rep says, "but we have to document it." Haley keeps her voice even. "Who else got this?" "We're limiting distribution," the woman says, which is not an answer. Also, security mentioned the C-lot cameras have been down this week. Unrelated. Just noted. She slides a printed notice across the desk. Monday at 9 a.m. We need a written statement. Until then, you're suspended from sensitive data access. Haley reaches for the paper. Her phone lights up again with a new text from Ethan. "Sign the agreement. If you don't, by Monday, I'll make sure you don't have a place to stand here." Haley didn't sleep much, but she still got up on time. She packed a small lunch she wasn't hungry for, found her kids' extra socks, and set the HR notice on the counter like it was a bill that would pay itself if she ignored it. Ethan's text sat unread in her notifications. She didn't open it again. She already knew what it said. At daycare, she signed the sheet with the same pen as always. The lobby had a new printed note taped to the corkboard. Reminder, please keep communication respectful. No names, no details, just a polite warning with a smiley font. Two parents near the cubbies went still when Haley stepped closer, like she'd walked into their conversation by accident. One of them gave her a quick look, then turned to help her toddler with a jacket that didn't need help. Haley lifted her kid, kissed the top of his head, and handed him to the teacher. The teacher smiled the same way she did every morning, but she didn't add the usual small talk. Haley didn't either. She waved once and walked back out. In her car, her phone buzzed again. A coworker texted, "You okay?" Another message came right after. "Hey, call me when you can." Neither asked what happened. They didn't have to. Haley stared at the screen, then locked it, and drove toward work anyway, because HR had said Monday at 9, and she didn't want to hand anyone an extra reason to call her unreliable. At the employee entrance, her badge beeped and the reader flashed red. She tried once more, slower, as if the door might respect effort. A security guard came over with the practiced patience of someone who had been blamed for worse. "Your access is restricted," he said.
"I know," Haley replied. He waited, maybe for anger, maybe for pleading. When neither showed up, he pointed toward the lobby phone. "You can call your manager, or HR." Haley used the lobby phone because it was there, and because her own phone felt like a live wire. HR didn't pick up. She left a message that sounded like a voicemail from an accountant. "This is Haley Steinfeld. My badge is disabled. I'm here to retrieve personal items and confirm what you want by Monday." She hung up and drove back toward the neighborhood, passing the same manicured lawns and porch flags she'd seen for years. On the corner, a neighbor she usually chatted with bent over her mailbox and didn't look up. Her phone rang. The number wasn't saved, but she recognized it after the first ring. She answered on the third. "Hello?" A woman's voice came through, careful and brisk. "Haley, it's Linda." Linda didn't say her last name, but she didn't need to.
Ethan's mother had a way of speaking like she was reading from a script she'd edited for tone. "If the baby isn't Ethan's," Linda said, "then we should handle this gently." Haley didn't correct the premise. She asked the only question that mattered. "Who told you that?" A pause, then the softest sigh, as if Haley had asked her to admit she'd gossiped. "Ethan is upset," Linda said. "People talk. I just don't want this to get ugly." "It's already ugly," Haley replied. Linda kept her voice even. "Your job, your reputation, those are fragile. You know that." Haley looked at her driveway, at the stroller folded near the garage, at the trash bin she'd forgotten to roll back. "Thank you for calling," she said. "Haley." Haley ended the call before the next sentence could land. She walked into the kitchen and scrolled through her missed calls. The list went on long enough to feel like a mistake. She set the phone on the counter and said, to no one, "I've never been this popular. I wish it came with royalties." Her screen lit up again, this time with a message request on social media from an account with no profile photo. "Praying for your little one." Another message followed with a link to a neighborhood group post. The preview text didn't name her, but it didn't have to. It was a thread about a woman at the lab and paternity drama, with people arguing about morality like it was a sport. A knock came at the door. Haley opened it to Marisol Vega holding a cardboard drink tray like she'd decided caffeine was now a workplace safety requirement. Marisol stepped in without asking where to stand. "Coffee," she said. Haley took one cup and set it down. Marisol didn't hug her. She didn't soften her voice. She looked at Haley's phone. "Did HR's email have attachments?" Haley blinked once. "They showed me a complaint on a screen." "Did they send it to you?" "No." Marisol nodded like that was its own answer. "Forward me whatever you have. If you don't have it, request it. And if they refuse, document that they refused." Haley opened her laptop and pulled up the few messages HR had sent. The calendar invite for Monday, the note about temporary restrictions, the generic language that sounded like it came from a template. She forwarded it all. Marisol watched her type. "Rumors don't die," Marisol said. "They just change shape." Haley's phone buzzed again. Another, "You okay?" Another, "Heard something." Her thumb hovered over the screen, then moved away. Marisol sipped her coffee. "Don't answer everyone," she said. "Pick 2 people. The rest can wait." Haley set the phone down and glanced at the daycare app icon. She hadn't opened it since drop-off. She did now because routine was the only thing still behaving. She grabbed her keys and headed back out, planning to ask the teacher for a copy of the sign-in sheet, or at least confirm who had been listed for pickup. At the daycare door, she signed in again for an early conference she hadn't scheduled. The teacher caught her before she reached the hallway. "Haley?" the teacher said low. "Yes?" "Someone called earlier asking about pickup times," she said. "He said he was the dad. Do you want to update the authorized list?" Haley pulled out her phone, opened the app, and her thumb stopped over Add authorized pickup as the screen loaded. Haley lowered her thumb and tapped the daycare screen with deliberate care. She removed Ethan from the pickup list, left her sister's name, and added a note for staff to call her first. The teacher didn't ask why. She just nodded and printed a new form. Haley signed it, handed it back, and walked out before her hands started to shake. In the car, she called HR, got voicemail again, and drove to the campus anyway. Monday's meeting sat on her calendar like a loaded reminder, but she needed something in writing now. Not a rumor, not a hallway whisper. HR finally met her at the front desk, expression fixed in that trained neutrality. The representative, Beth, led her to a small conference room and slid a blank incident statement across the table. Haley filled it out in short sentences. Her name, her role, the accusation, the impact on her access. Beth asked if Haley wanted to share any context. Haley kept her pen moving and didn't look up. "I'm not here to discuss my marriage." "We have to assess risk," Beth said. "I work in QA. Risk is my job." Beth's mouth tightened, but she wrote that down too. Beth pulled up the complaint again and pointed to the subject line, as if Haley hadn't read it a dozen times already. Haley asked for the distribution list, the names of anyone who'd received it, and any replies attached to it. Beth's hands paused over the keyboard. "We don't provide that," Beth said. "Then note that I requested it." Beth nodded once, the way people do when they're acknowledging a problem without touching it. She printed a copy of the meeting notice for Monday at 9 a.m. and circled the time in red. Haley took it and asked for IT. The help desk window was staffed by a young tech who looked exhausted from everyone else's passwords. He listened while Haley explained the anonymous email, then pulled up a log screen she wasn't allowed to see. He didn't swivel the monitor, but his tone shifted from casual to careful. "The account was created from our internal network," he said. "Meaning someone on site?" "It means it hit our Wi-Fi or a wired port," he replied. "That's all I can say without a ticket." Haley gave him Beth's reference number. He typed, printed a receipt, and slid it under the glass for you. Marisol met her at a diner near the highway, the kind with menus and a server who called honey. Haley ordered water and took out her phone. Marisol didn't waste time. "Did HR forward you the email?" "No." "Then we get it," Marisol said. "Headers, routing, everything." Haley forwarded the help desk receipt and her Monday notice. Marisol opened a notebook and wrote dates, times, names, like she was building a fence. "People think rumors fade," Marisol said. "They don't. They migrate." Haley watched a man at the counter laugh at something on his screen and kept her face neutral. Marisol asked Haley to describe the wording she'd seen on Beth's screen. Haley recited what she remembered, down to the line about restricted access to Bay 3 records, which sounded official and ominous in the email. Marisol's pen stopped. "Bay 3 isn't public language," she said. "That's our nickname. Personal people say sample processing." Haley stared at the table edge. Marisol flipped her notebook and underlined the phrase twice. "Whoever wrote it knew the building," Marisol said. "Or knew someone who does." Haley pulled up her calendar and matched the timestamp to her badge scan and didn't comment on it. On her drive home, Haley checked Ethan's earlier text, one she'd ignored in the morning. It said he'd been at the gym all afternoon, followed by a check-in photo of a treadmill display. She had seen that photo before, months back, when he'd bragged about his pace. The date stamp in the corner was cropped now, but the reflection in the screen was the same, down to his blue earbuds. She screenshot it and saved it to a folder labeled Monday. When she got home, Marisol texted one sentence. "If he wants a DNA test, he'll want it on his terms." Haley opened her laptop at the kitchen table and started a timeline. She listed the HR email, the badge denial, the daycare warning sign, and Ethan's parking lot line. She added the help desk receipt and the recycled gym photo, each saved with a timestamp. She didn't decorate it with feelings. She just made it readable. The page looked ordinary, which made it worse. The doorbell rang. She checked the clock, stood, and opened the door a few inches. A man with a clipboard and an envelope met her eyes. He spoke without waiting. I'm a process server. Are you Haley Steinfeld? She nodded once. I can't give legal advice, he said, already shifting his weight, but you've been served. He asked her to confirm her name. She did. He handed the envelope through the gap and stepped back as if the paper might bite. Haley closed the door, slid the chain free, and carried the packet to the kitchen table. The first page had Ethan's name at the top and her name spelled correctly, which felt like effort. The heading read, Temporary Parenting Agreement. Under it, proposed custody schedule, proposed child support, and a paragraph about immediate paternity testing at a private lab to avoid further conflict. The word confidential appeared 3 times in 2 lines, like repetition could make it true. Her phone rang before she finished reading. Ethan. She answered on speaker and set the phone beside the packet. What do you want, Ethan? His voice came out steady, almost friendly. Just sign it. I'm not signing anything I didn't request. It's simple, he said. We do the test, we settle it, and I'll tell people to stop talking. Haley flipped to the last page. There was a signature line for her and a blank for a notary. You started the talking. I'm trying to end it, Ethan said. You're making it hard. Haley looked at the clock. Daycare pickup was in 2 hours. Dinner still had to happen. Monday still existed. I'll respond through an attorney, she said. Ethan gave a laugh. Right, because that always makes things calmer. He hung up. Haley didn't call back. She photographed the papers, saved them to her Monday folder, and texted Marisol. Served. She packed her kids' snacks, drove to daycare, and returned with him on her hip, acting like the adults in the room weren't setting fire to his week. That evening, after she dropped her son with her sister for an hour, Haley drove to the county courthouse lobby. She had texted Ethan one sentence, meet me by family services. He showed up 5 minutes late, like punctuality was a favor. He didn't look tired. He looked prepared. You came, he said. I'm not here to negotiate, Haley replied. I'm here to tell you to stop. You emailed my work. You're spreading this around. You're dragging our kid into it. Ethan tilted his phone, screen facing him. A red dot glowed near the top. Haley noticed it and lowered her voice. Turn that off. Ethan shrugged. It's for my protection. Haley nodded toward the dot. Make sure you add captions. I talk fast. His eyes narrowed and he slipped the phone into his palm without ending the recording. I'm asking you, Haley said, keeping her hands at her sides, to retract what you said. You told people I cheated. You told them our child isn't yours. You don't get to do that and then call it confidential. Ethan's smile thinned. If you cared about confidentiality, you wouldn't have made me do this. I didn't make you do anything, she said. A couple walked past them, steering a stroller toward the elevators. Ethan angled his body so his voice carried. I'm worried about the baby, he said, loud enough for strangers. I just want the truth. Haley didn't raise her voice. She stepped closer anyway. Then get the truth in court, she said, not by punishing me at my job. Ethan's expression shifted, pleased, like she'd finally stepped where he wanted her. Monday at 9, he said. Bring your statement. I'll bring mine. Haley left before she said something that could be clipped and replayed. By the time she got home, her work email had a new message from a colleague she trusted, Jay from Regulatory. It wasn't a question. It was a warning. Hey, HR's asking around. Ethan emailed my manager saying you're unstable and shouldn't be near controlled records. Haley forwarded it to her personal account, then called HR again. Beth finally answered and spoke as if she'd been expecting it. We're placing you on unpaid administrative leave while we review concerns, Beth said. Concerns based on what? We can't discuss specifics, Beth replied. Effective immediately. Haley ended the call and sat in her car in the driveway because her kid was asleep in the back seat and she didn't want him waking up to her voice. Another text came in, this time from her supervisor. I'm not taking sides, but don't come in tomorrow. Let HR handle it. She stared at that sentence until the screen dimmed. Then Ethan texted again. I scheduled the test, Wednesday, 8 a.m. Don't be late. Haley lowers her hand from the call button and locks her phone. Ethan's Wednesday appointment sits there like a command, but she doesn't give it oxygen. She carries her son to bed, rinses a bottle, and puts the served papers back into their envelope. At the kitchen table, she texts Marisol one sentence: "Lawyer. Now." Marisol replies before Haley can set the phone down: "Tomorrow morning." The next day, Marisol drives. Haley watches traffic and keeps her documents stacked on her lap. HR's notice, Jay's email, screenshots from the daycare app, and Ethan's text about the confidential test. They stop at a low office building with a sign that reads Whitaker Family Law. Marisol parks close, like distance is a luxury. Dana Whitaker meets them in a small conference room and sits without ceremony. She's in her 40s, hair pinned back, sleeves rolled the way people do when they mean to work.
"Tell me what he did," Dana says. Haley slides the papers across the table in the order they happened. Dana reads, then looks up. "Where did he say you cheated?" "At my workplace," Haley says, "and online. He used my name." "To anyone in management?" "HR got an anonymous complaint. My access got cut." Dana makes a note. "Who heard it?" "Coworkers, neighbors, daycare staff?" "All of them," Haley says, because listing names feels endless. Dana's pen pauses. "Do you have proof it spread beyond your marriage?" Haley taps the daycare screenshot and Jay's email. "This is what I have so far." Dana nods once, then turns to the topic Ethan clearly wants to be the headline. "DNA test," she says. "He demanded it?" "He scheduled it," Haley replies. "Wednesday at 8, private lab." "He keeps saying it's confidential." Dana's expression barely shifts. Confidential usually means he chooses the rules. Dana asks about finances next, not gently. Haley opens her banking app and scrolls, showing the obvious expenses. Then she sees a repeating transfer she hasn't noticed before. $425, monthly, labeled Oak Grove. She taps it and the merchant detail expands. Oak Grove Women's Health. Haley holds the screen out without a comment. Dana studies it. "Could be harmless," Dana says. "Could be exactly what it says. Either way, it's useful." "He's hiding something while accusing you of hiding everything." Marisol exhales through her nose, a sound that isn't laughter. Dana flips to a clean page. "Here's the fork in the road," she says. Option 1. You keep your head down, you go to his test, you hope HR calms down after Monday, and you let him steer. That might be cheaper up front. She lifts a finger. Option 2. We file. Defamation, interference with employment, whatever fits the facts. We request a court order for paternity testing with chain of custody so he can't pick a buddy lab. We send a cease and desist so the rumor machine has a written stop sign. That gets loud. It costs. It also puts him under rules. Haley looks at the retainer agreement. The fee number is real, and unpaid leave is also real. She thinks about Ethan calling the daycare and calling it fatherhood, like a password. She can either spend money to build the fence now or spend months watching him walk through every opening. Marisol leans forward. He doesn't need to win, she says. He just needs to wear you out. Haley picks up the pen. Dana slides the agreement closer. If you hire me, I need you organized, Dana says. Dates, texts, emails. No side conversations with him. Haley signs. Dana hands her an authorization form for HR and IT records. Haley signs again, then sets the pen down like she's done with it forever. I hate paperwork, she says, flat. But I hate being lied about more. Dana gathers the pages, staples them, and stands. I'll file today, she says. And I'm requesting that any DNA testing happens through the court's process. If he wants truth, he can have it supervised. Dana prints a receipt and clips it to Haley's copy. Text me if he contacts you about the test, Dana says. And don't meet him alone again. Haley tucks the papers into her folder. Marisol stands ready. The meeting has taken 40 minutes, and Haley feels like she's spent a year.
In the parking lot, Marisol walks Haley to her car. "Eat something," Marisol says. They stop at a diner 2 blocks away because it's there and because decisions are easier with food on a table. Haley has just opened the menu when her phone vibrates with an unfamiliar number. She answers. "Hello?" A young woman's voice comes through, tight and rushed. "Are you Ethan Cole's wife?" she asks. "I think you should know." Haley held the phone to her ear and kept her eyes on the laminated menu. "Are you Ethan Cole's wife?" "Yes." "I'm not trying to start trouble," the woman said. I think you should know he's telling people you're unstable. He asked me if emergency custody is a thing." "Who are you?" the line crackled. The woman swallowed. "Just someone who believes you deserve a warning." "Where did you hear that?" "From him," she said, then lowered her voice. "He said he'd have paperwork filed before the DNA results. That's all I can say." "Wait." The call ended. Marisol watched Haley set the phone down. "That sounded fun," Marisol said. Haley slid the menu aside and texted Dana Whitaker the number and a single sentence. "Call me." Dana called back before the server returned with water. "Tell me what happened," Dana said. Haley repeated the lines without embellishing. Dana didn't gasp or comfort. "He's moving fast," she said. "I'm sending a cease and desist tonight. It won't muzzle him, but it draws a line. Monday, you take your timeline to HR. No speeches, just documents." By Sunday afternoon, Dana emailed Haley a cease and desist letter. Retract the claims, stop contacting third parties, and route everything through counsel. Dana also copied HR's counsel to document that filings were pending as well. For the first time in days, Haley's phone didn't light up every 10 minutes. Ethan didn't text, no neighbors messaged, even the anonymous accounts went silent. Monday morning, Haley showed up at HR with a folder and a spare copy of everything. Beth met her in the lobby and led her back to a small conference room. "Thank you for coming," Beth said. Haley set the folder down. "I'm here for the record." Beth nodded and gestured toward the documents. "What do you have?" Haley handed over a printed timeline. The parking lot confrontation, the anonymous complaint, the badge access denial, the daycare call about pickup, the email Ethan sent to a manager claiming she was unstable. She included screenshots, the help desk receipt, her badge log, and the gym check-in photo she'd saved. Beth flipped through, slower as she reached the email from Ethan. "You're saying he contacted your workplace directly?" Beth said. "Yes." "And you believe the complaint came from someone on site?" "Help desk confirmed the account was created on the internal network," Haley said. "They can explain it better than I can." Beth set the papers down and folded her hands. "We've received a letter from your attorney," she said. "Given that this is now a legal matter, we'll limit discussion and follow process. We'll review what you've provided." "Will my access be restored?" Haley asked. "I can't promise that today," Beth replied. "But we'll document your submission and get back to you." Haley stood when the meeting ended. Beth offered a neutral goodbye. Haley left the building without looking for familiar faces. She drove to the lab listed on Ethan's agreement because she wanted to know what quick and confidential meant in practice. At the front desk, a receptionist slid a clipboard toward her. "Do you have an appointment?" "Not today," Haley said. "I'm confirming requirements for a paternity test." "Photo ID for the adults," the receptionist said. "Birth certificate if you have it. We follow chain of custody." She said it like a phrase she'd repeated 100 times. "If it's court-ordered, it has to be scheduled through the ordering party." Haley nodded, took the printed brochure, and walked back to her car. That afternoon stayed unnervingly normal. Haley made dinner, packed a daycare bag, and set her folder by the door. At dusk, she noticed a dark sedan parked across the street. It wasn't a neighbor's car. It didn't move when she carried out the trash. 10 minutes later, it was still there. Her phone buzzed. "I changed the lab," Ethan texted. Haley stared at the screen, then typed 3 words. "Noted. Court." She hit send. Dana called less than a minute later. Good, Dana said. Don't argue. If he's swapping labs, he's trying to control the paper trail. Also, if he files for emergency custody before any results, he'll frame you as uncooperative. He already started, Haley said. I know, Dana replied. That's why we're filing first thing tomorrow. Until then, don't meet him. Don't hand him anything he can twist. The doorbell rang. Haley opened the door and saw the same type of clipboard, a new envelope, and a man who didn't bother with small talk. Haley Steinfeld? She took the packet. The top page read, Motion for emergency custody and request for immediate paternity testing. She arrived at the Durham County Courthouse before the doors fully filled up, her son balanced on one hip and a manila folder clamped under her arm. Dana Whitaker had told her to bring everything, so the folder was thick. Daycare forms, HR notices, screenshots, the motion Ethan had filed, and the cease and desist letter stapled to the top like a receipt. At security, the guard waved the diaper bag through and asked her to step aside for the stroller check she didn't have. Haley shifted her son, kept her ID ready, and watched other parents shuffle by with the same tired faces and different problems. In the lobby, Ethan was already there. He wore a pressed button-down and a blazer, hair combed like he'd booked a headshot. He chatted with an older couple near the vending machines, smiling, nodding, touching his chest when he laughed, as if he'd been personally moved by their story. When he noticed Haley, he didn't approach right away. He let her see him being reasonable. Dana met Haley by the posted docket sheet and leaned in close enough to be heard. Don't answer anything you don't understand.
I understand most of it, Haley said.
Today isn't about understanding, Dana replied. It's about record. A court officer called their case. Haley followed Dana into the hallway outside family court, where Ethan's attorney was already speaking to the clerk. The attorney handed over a stack of papers, too neat, too thick for something that had been filed in an emergency. The clerk flipped through, eyebrows lifting at a tab labeled Stability. Dana glanced at the top page and didn't smile. They're alleging emotional volatility, she said. Ethan's attorney turned, voice polished. My client is concerned about the child's environment. Haley adjusted her grip on her son. He squirmed, then settled when she bounced him once. A woman waiting nearby looked at Haley's folder, then at her face, as if trying to match her to a rumor. Inside the courtroom, Haley sat at the petitioner's table with Dana, while Ethan sat opposite, hands folded, posture perfect. The judge entered and began with questions that landed fast, like paperwork turned into spoken darts. Ms. Steinfeld, what is your work schedule? Weekdays, standard hours, some early starts, Haley said. Who provides child care? Daycare and my sister when needed, she answered. Any overnight travel? Rare, she said. The judge's gaze shifted. Mr. Cole alleges you're involved in an extramarital relationship. Is that true? No, Haley said. Ethan's attorney stood. Your Honor, we have concerns about judgment and stability given the circumstances. Dana rose immediately. Your Honor, the circumstances are rumors Mr. Cole initiated at her workplace. We'll address that in the proper forum. The judge held up a hand. Noted. Today I'm focusing on temporary custody and testing. Ethan took the stand without being asked, as if the room belonged to him. He faced the judge, voice soft. I'm not trying to punish Haley, he said. I just want to know the truth for my son. And I'm worried about his safety. Haley watched him say the word safety with the calm of someone ordering coffee. Ethan didn't look at their child. He looked at the judge. Dana cross-checked dates, asked whether Ethan had contacted daycare, whether he had emailed Haley's employer. Ethan answered around the edges. I reached out because I was scared, he said. After 20 minutes, the judge leaned back and spoke with the tone of someone deciding an appointment slot. Temporary custody will follow a fixed exchange schedule, the judge said. Both parents will use a neutral location. Communication will be limited to matters concerning the child. Ethan's smile flickered and returned. And the court orders a paternity test through an approved facility, the judge continued. No private arrangements. Results are due to the court by the next hearing date. Dana nodded once, already writing. The judge looked at Haley. Miss Steinfeld, you will cooperate fully.
Yes, Your Honor, Haley said. Court adjourned. In the hallway, Ethan stepped close enough that only Haley could hear. I told you, he said. You won't have a place to stand. Haley unfolded the court schedule Dana had handed her, eyes scanning the printed dates like they were directions on a map. Congratulations, she said evenly. You've turned DNA into an extracurricular. Ethan's mouth tightened. He started to reply, but Dana touched Haley's elbow and steered her away. They reached the lobby doors before Dana stopped, voice suddenly sharp. He's trying to force you into a lab he controls, Dana said. We have to lock the process down today, right now. Haley shifted her son higher and followed Dana toward the clerk's office, still within the courthouse complex. Haley carried her son, folder tucked under her elbow, while Dana talked into her phone, ordering certified copies and a same-day motion. Ethan stayed behind, smiling at strangers like he'd won a friendly raffle. At Whitaker Family Law, Dana cleared a chair for the diaper bag and handed Haley a yellow pad. Haley listed names: Beth in HR, Jay in regulatory, the daycare teacher, the help desk tech. Dana circled each one and said, "Discovery starts now." We don't chase feelings, we chase timestamps first. Dana drafted subpoenas while Haley fed her son crackers and wiped his hands with a napkin from her pocket. Dana requested the anonymous complaint, full email headers, creation logs for the sender account, and building access records. She also asked for Ethan's bank statements through formal discovery back 2 years. By afternoon, Dana had a response from the company's counsel. They would preserve logs and produce records under subpoena. Haley drove to the campus with Dana's authorization letter and met the help desk manager at a side office. He confirmed the account originated on site and printed a chain of custody report for Dana. The manager wouldn't name a user, but he pointed at a line item. The login tied to a device fingerprint that had pinged the guest network near the C lot. Haley asked for the time window. It matched the minute Ethan claimed he was at the gym. The receipt printer hummed. Back at Dana's office, she spread the printouts across the table and highlighted the overlap. She didn't call it proof yet. She called it leverage. Then she opened Ethan's transfer history and tapped the repeating payment. Oak Grove Women's Health, she read aloud. Haley didn't answer. Marisol watched, jaw set. Dana requested records connected to that clinic address because the zip code sat outside their county. She also pulled a screenshot Haley had saved. Ethan's old message to a contact she didn't recognize. The line wasn't romantic. It was tactical. Just need HR to believe, Ethan had written months ago. Haley flipped back through her own notes. The broken C-lock cameras, the last-minute lab switch, the anonymous email timed to her badge scan. None of it looked random anymore. Dana slid a new motion template toward her. We ask the judge for strict chain of custody, Dana said. Neutral lab, no exceptions. A courier dropped off another batch of logs, heavier than the last, and Dana stacked them like bricks. Haley glanced at the thickness and said dryly, I thought he was lazy. Turns out he's only lazy about being a father. Dana didn't smile, but she didn't correct her either today. They walked the filings down to the clerk's office for stamping. Haley kept her son close, shifting his weight when he leaned toward the candy machine. In the hallway, Ethan's attorney passed them without looking up. Ethan wasn't with him. That absence felt deliberate, like he didn't want witnesses now. In the parking lot, Marisol called to check in. Dana spoke first. HR preserved the logs. Marisol didn't ask how. She asked what Haley needed. Childcare and a printer, Haley said. Done, Marisol replied. Haley hung up and took a photo of the receipt, saving it beside the daycare screenshot. Dana opened her car door, but Haley paused. A stranger in the next row watched her carry the folder, then pretended to study his phone. Haley didn't confront him. She tightened her grip. Dana tapped the folder once. This is how you shrink a rumor, she said. Paper beats whispers. At home, Haley set her son on the floor with blocks and opened her laptop again. Dana emailed copies of the stamped motions and a list of deadlines. The court-ordered test had to be scheduled within days. Ethan's private appointment on Wednesday looked like bait,
meant to create a record. Haley forwarded the filings to a folder labeled Court and saved the help desk log as a PDF. She didn't reply to Ethan. She typed one line for Dana to send. She would submit to testing only under the judge's order. An alert flashed, and she swiped it away without reading. That night, Dana called with an update. IT would release email headers after the subpoena cleared, and HR counsel agreed to preserve access logs. Haley stood at the sink, running water while her son's monitor ticked on the counter. "I'm filing the motion first thing," Dana said. "Good," Haley replied. When the call ended, Haley set the phone down and shut off the faucet. Another unfamiliar number rang. She answered. "Hello?" A man spoke fast. "I'm calling about Ethan," he said, "and about a child." Haley kept the phone at her ear. "I'm calling about Ethan," the man said, "and about a child." "Who are you?" "Name's Robert. I work in billing at Oak Grove," he said. He asked questions about paternity testing and whether records could be kept off the radar. "Why tell me?" "Because there's a kid on a file with his name," Robert said, "not yours. And he's been paying for appointments like clockwork." Haley wrote Oak Grove on a sticky note, even though it was already burned into her screen. She ended the call, then dialed Dana. Dana listened without interrupting. "Send me the number," she said. "Don't call him back." "I'm supposed to test through the court," Haley said. "Yes," Dana replied, "and we're going to make sure the chain of custody is bulletproof. Ethan is going to try to claim you stalled. We remove that option." Dana emailed the court-approved lab list and a short letter requesting a preserved split sample for independent verification. The wording was dry, the kind that left no space for a tantrum. The next morning, Haley drove to an accredited collection site with her son buckled in the back. The court order sat in a clear sleeve on the passenger seat, along with her ID and the birth certificate copy daycare kept asking for. She pulled into the lot and sat for a second while her son slept, mouth open, one fist curled around the strap. If this got messy, she could lose money. She could lose her job for longer than HR pretended was temporary. People could keep whispering at daycare pickup. She could live with all of that. What she wouldn't live with was Ethan using their child like a lever, then calling it concern. She got out, carried her son to the front desk, and handed over the paperwork. The receptionist checked names, then slid a clipboard across. "Both parents will need to present ID at collection," she said. "He will," Haley answered. A technician called them back, a woman in scrubs with a badge that said Kendra. She confirmed Haley's identity, scanned the court order, and looked at the additional letter from Dana. "You're requesting a split sample custody seal," Kendra said. "Yes," Haley replied. "Same swab, documented, stored." Kendra nodded like this wasn't the first marriage she'd seen fall apart over saliva. "Reason for test?" she asked, clicking through fields. "Court date," Haley said. She paused, then added, "and someone's hobby." Kendra's face didn't change, but her pen slowed for half a beat. They weighed Haley's son on the scale out of habit, checked his wristband from daycare, then matched his name to the birth record. Kendra put on gloves, opened 2 sealed kits, and read the serial numbers out loud while Haley watched her write them down. "Do you understand the procedure?" Kendra asked. "Yes," Haley said. Kendra swabbed Haley's cheek, then her son's, quick and gentle. She sealed each tube, placed them into a tamper bag, and had Haley sign next to the numbers. Another bag went into a lockbox labeled Split Sample, with a second signature line. "Your attorney will get the tracking," Kendra said. Haley tucked the paperwork into her folder and walked back to the car without looking back at it. She set her son into the car seat and checked the time on the dashboard. The court's deadline sat less than 2 weeks away, printed in bold on the order. Ethan's private Wednesday slot was still on her calendar, but now it was just another thing she wouldn't attend. She deleted it. At the exit, the receptionist called after her. "Ms. Steinfeld, your attorney requested we hold the split sample for 30 days unless the court extends it." "Fine," Haley said. "And payment for the additional custody seal is due today." Haley swiped her card, signed the keypad, and watched the total appear. It was enough to sting, not enough to stop her.
She folded the receipt into the folder with the rest of the evidence, because money was also evidence when someone tried to claim she didn't cooperate. Outside, a man in the next parking space glanced at her folder and then away. Haley didn't recognize him. She memorized the plate anyway and typed it into a note, the same way she logged batch numbers at work. Habits were hard to kill, and right now, they were useful. Her phone buzzed before she started the engine. Dana's name appeared, but it was a text, not a call. Ethan filed a supplemental motion, it read. He's asking the court to label you uncooperative. I need you to sign an affidavit right now. Haley signed Dana's affidavit in the lab parking lot, then drove home with her son strapped behind her and the folder on the passenger seat. Dana filed the affidavit that afternoon, but Ethan filed again too, and the court scheduled a short status hearing to address cooperation. It was the kind of phrase that sounded harmless until it was pointed at someone's life. On Tuesday, Haley arrived early, alone this time. Marisol had her son at daycare and promised to be on standby if the schedule shifted. In the hallway outside the small courtroom, Ethan stood with his attorney and a stack of papers clipped into a binder. He looked rested. He laughed at something the bailiff said, like they were all waiting for a school play to start. Ethan nodded at Haley as if they shared a private joke. "Glad you made it." Haley didn't answer. Dana touched her elbow and spoke without looking at Ethan. "Let him perform." The hearing lasted less than 30 minutes. Ethan's attorney handed the judge screenshots and printed messages, each one trimmed down to the ugliest line. A text from Haley, sent after the daycare call, was displayed without the follow-up where she asked Ethan to stop contacting staff. A neighbor's comment from a group thread was presented as community concern. A coworker's cautious email was labeled evidence of instability. The judge looked at Haley. "Miss Steinfeld, why are people saying you're unwell?" Haley kept her voice flat. "Because Ethan told them that." Ethan's attorney stepped in. "My client is seeking peace, Your Honor." "He's fearful." Ethan sat up straighter, hands folded like a prayer. "I just want to keep things calm," he said. "I want the truth," he added, "and I want my son safe." Dana objected twice, once for relevance, once for hearsay, but the judge let most of it land. When Dana asked Ethan why he had tried to move the lab without notice, Ethan shrugged. "I was trying to make it easier," he said. Haley watched the judge's eyes drift to her face, then away, then back again, as if searching for some visible sign of warmth. Haley didn't provide one. She had learned at work that neutrality kept systems running. In this room, neutrality looked like distance. The judge turned to Dana. "Your client appears detached." Dana didn't flinch. "She's controlled," Dana said. "That's not the same thing." The judge tapped a pen and spoke like he was tightening a belt. "Until the paternity testing is complete and reviewed, exchanges will occur at a supervised facility. Communication will stay limited. Both parties will comply without exception." Ethan's attorney thanked the court. Ethan didn't look at Haley when the order was read. He looked at the judge, satisfied. In the hallway, Ethan drifted close as people filed out. "I told you," he said softly. "No place to stand." Haley didn't turn her head. "You want peace," she said, just loud enough for Dana to hear. "You picked the loudest way to get it." Ethan's smile tightened, and he walked off, already texting someone. Outside, Haley's phone vibrated with an email from HR. The subject line read, "Employment Status Update." She opened it with Dana beside her. "Unpaid leave is being converted to separation pending investigation," Dana read aloud. Haley scrolled to the signature block and saved the message to her folder. Dana asked for a forward, and Haley sent it without comment. The courthouse air felt stale, but she kept moving because her son had to be picked up, and now pickup came with a court-issued script. That afternoon, the supervised exchange facility sat behind a plain door with a posted list of rules. A staff member met Haley in the lobby with a clipboard and a practiced tone. "Please sign here to acknowledge policies." Haley took the pen. "Phones off during exchange. Arrive 10 minutes early. Any issues, tell staff, not each other." Ethan arrived while she was signing, dressed the same way, carrying a toy truck like proof he could play the role. He greeted the staff by name. "Hey, Carla." Carla smiled back. "Mr. Cole?" "You're on time." Haley kept her eyes on the paper. Carla pointed to a line about compliance. "Initial there, please." Haley initialed. Her phone buzzed against her palm, a vibration she couldn't ignore because it was too long. Carla glanced down. "Ma'am, you'll need to put that away." Haley lifted the screen just enough to see the sender. HR again. The subject line was shorter. Termination effective. Haley finished signing the exchange form, slid her phone into her pocket, and took her son's hand when Carla opened the side door. Ethan walked in from the other hallway smiling at the staff, and Haley kept her eyes on the floor tape that marked where parents should stand. When the exchange ended, she drove home without music, parked, and read the HR email on her porch step. It was short, full of policy words, and it confirmed, termination effective immediately. She forwarded it to Dana, then opened her laptop and tried to pull up the screenshot folder she'd been building. The folder was there, but half the file showed broken icons and a prompt asking her to sign in again. Her password didn't work. She reset it, watched the verification code hit a phone number that wasn't hers, and froze. She grabbed her phone, opened the account settings, and saw a new recovery email she didn't recognize. Dana called back within minutes. "Did you lose anything?" "Someone accessed my account. I'm still getting in, but the screenshots are gone or corrupted." Dana told her to stop touching it and to bring the laptop in the morning. After daycare drop-off, Haley drove to a UPS store to overnight certified copies to Dana's office and the court. The clerk asked if she wanted signature confirmation, and Haley paid for it without hesitating. Outside, she texted Jay a simple question about the anonymous email and whether he'd confirm Ethan's message to his manager. Jay replied 10 minutes later. "I can't. I'm sorry, Haley. I don't want to get pulled into this." She saved the text, then deleted Jay's contact photo from her favorites list without comment. At daycare pickup, the front desk asked for updated custody paperwork and spoke as if she'd missed a bill. "We just need it on file, for safety." Haley handed them the court order and watched the receptionist photocopy it twice. That night, she spread her papers across the kitchen table, stacked by deadline, and wrote check amounts on the back of an envelope. Marisol came by with groceries and didn't ask how she felt. "I can watch him for a few hours tomorrow." "You don't need to be strong. You need the right process." Haley nodded, put the groceries away, and printed Dana's motion draft until the ink cartridge flashed low. She read court forms the way she read SOPs at work, line by line, looking for the part that could be used against her. When her son asked for a bedtime story, she chose the shortest one and kept her voice steady. After he fell asleep, she opened the remaining screenshot files and took photos of the screen with her phone, one by one, to preserve what was left. The next morning, Dana's office ran a forensic export from her accounts and recovered only fragments. Dana didn't sound surprised when she told Haley. "It's common. He's trying to starve your evidence, not your truth." Haley drove to Dana's office anyway, handed over the laptop, and signed another set of authorizations with a borrowed pen. She looked at the growing pile and said, without smiling, "I've never read this much in my life. I should have gone to law school instead of marrying Ethan." Dana's phone rang while Haley capped the folder clips, and Dana's face tightened as she listened. "The court results are about to post. If they're bad, Ethan will file immediately. You need to be in your car and ready to come straight to the courthouse." Haley nodded, slid the papers into her bag, and walked out with her keys already in her hand. In the lobby, she texted Marisol the daycare code and a pickup window, then tucked her phone away when the receptionist glanced over. Outside, a gust of cold air hit her, and she crossed the parking lot without stopping to talk to anyone. At home, she checked the mailbox and found a thin envelope from her employer labeled Final Pay Information. She set it on the passenger seat, started the car, and pulled up the courthouse address, even though she'd driven it 3 times this month. Her phone buzzed with another message from a neighbor she used to share holiday cookies with. "I'm staying out of this drama. Please don't knock again." Haley didn't reply.
She put the car in reverse, backed out, and kept her eyes on the rear-view mirror until the street opened. At the first stoplight, she forwarded the neighbor text to Dana, then unplugged her charger so the phone couldn't die mid-drive.
When Dana's number flashed again, Haley answered with one hand and kept rolling toward the courthouse. "Stay close. Refresh your email every few minutes." Haley sat in her idling car near the courthouse, refreshing her inbox until Dana's name popped up again. No outcome, just a directive. Compliance had released preserved logs, and Haley needed to sign a supplemental affidavit today. She drove straight to Whitaker Family Law, left her son with Marisol, and walked in with her folder. Dana already had 3 binders spread across the desk, tabbed by date, and indicated a chair without preamble. A compliance officer joined on speakerphone and confirmed the anonymous HR account had been created from a device near Lot C. Dana slid a printed log forward. Haley compared the timestamp to Tuesday's gym text screenshot from Ethan. Same minute. Next came the daycare recording. Dana's fingers stopped on the waveform when the caller introduced himself as the father. "I'm the dad. I need pickup times for tomorrow. What time does he leave, and who signs him out?" The teacher stayed courteous, gave nothing away, and documented the number. Dana circled it twice in red for the file. Haley signed a statement describing the call. Dana stapled it behind the court order and set it aside like a shield. Then she placed a co-parenting app printout in front of Haley. "Everything goes through this starting today, no exceptions," she said. "He's been co-parenting creatively. Now we do it correctly. Send him the invite." Dana drafted a motion demanding Ethan stop contacting HR, daycare staff, neighbors, and co-workers, harassment and employment interference laid out as a pattern. Haley crossed to a notary while Marisol waited with her son and a diaper bag. The notary verified Haley's ID, watched her sign, and stamped each page with a hard thud. Back at the office, a courier delivered additional bank records. Oak Grove payments, every month, unchanged. Dana didn't guess at motives. She labeled the clinic address potential third party and filed it under discovery. Haley updated daycare authorization the same day. Ethan removed, Marisol and her sister added. Photo ID required at every visit. "We'll follow the court," she told the staff, "but the paperwork needs to be current and everyone has to follow it." In the parking lot, Ethan texted, "You're making this hard." Haley forwarded it into the app thread and said nothing. Dana filed the boundary motion that afternoon, attaching HR logs, daycare notes, and Ethan's own written demands as exhibits. For a stretch, the anonymous messages stopped, and the neighborhood posts went quiet. Marisol handled pickup and returned the car seat base from Haley's trunk. Dana reviewed the lab order and confirmed the split sample paperwork had been accepted, with tracking assigned to counsel. When Ethan's attorney asked for voluntary cooperation at Ethan's preferred lab, Dana replied with the judge's order attached. Haley left with stamped copies, a deadline checklist, and a firm rule: no unsupervised contact again. Near the lot exit, the same dark sedan sat idling across from her. Haley snapped a photo of the plate, emailed it to Dana, and drove on. At home, she set exchange locations in the app and turned on read receipts. Ethan accused her of restricting access. Haley sent the court order PDF back, only the file. Dana called to confirm delivery, then told her to store screenshots in 2 places. Marisol texted a daycare photo of Haley's son painting. Haley saved it beside the court documents without opening the thread. Later, Dana confirmed HR would release full headers under subpoena next week, including device identifiers and routing. Haley printed the email, filed it, and tucked the folder into her glove compartment before heading to daycare. Then Dana called again. "A new subpoena return just came in," she said. "Not HR. It references another minor tied to Ethan." Haley pulled into a gas station bay and kept her voice low. Dana sounded tight. The records named a different child, and the name wasn't Haley's. Haley cleared the next hour on her calendar and texted Marisol to handle pickup, no questions. Another message from Dana hit her screen, blunt enough to read twice before she put the car in gear. "Subpoenaed records involve another child. I need you at the office now. Come straight here." Haley reached the main courtroom with Dana at her side and a slim binder in her hands. The hallway chatter fell away when the bailiff called their case. A court reporter tested her machine. Dana placed labeled exhibits on the evidence table: HR logs, daycare call record, bank transfers, and the court-ordered lab notice. Haley took the witness seat when asked, answered her name, and kept her eyes on the judge's bench. The judge began with custody, then defamation, then the DNA order, as if reading a checklist. Dana asked for the anonymous email headers and the building access logs to be admitted. Ethan's attorney objected, then withdrew when the clerk verified the subpoena returns. Ethan testified first. He said he'd been concerned, that Haley withheld information, that he had no choice but to warn people. When Dana asked why he contacted HR instead of a lawyer, Ethan shrugged. The judge watched him without nodding. Dana slid an email across and asked him to read the subject line. "I wanted accountability," Ethan said. A lab representative appeared by affidavit, and the clerk read the results into the record. Ethan leaned forward like he'd been waiting for a verdict that would fix everything. The judge asked for the report number, the chain of custody signatures, and the collection date. Dana confirmed Haley's compliance and handed over the split sample receipt. The clerk cleared her throat. "Probability of paternity? 99.99%, she read. Ethan's jaw moved once. Then he laughed, short and sharp, like the paper had insulted him. His attorney touched his sleeve, but he pulled away and shook his head at the judge. Ethan stood without being prompted. "That can't be right," he said. He claimed the lab was biased, that Haley worked around testing people, that she could make things happen. His attorney tried to soften it, suggesting contamination and asking for another test at a facility Ethan had identified. Dana didn't raise her voice. She asked the judge to note that Ethan had already attempted private testing twice and that he'd changed labs by text. Ethan looked at Haley as if daring her to react. She didn't. The judge held up a hand, and Ethan stopped talking only when told directly. Dana rose and placed a second report on the evidence table, sealed and signed. She explained it came from an accredited lab, requested in writing, with split sample custody and tracking. The judge glanced at the cover sheet, then at Ethan. "Same result?" the judge asked. Dana nodded. "It matches the court test," she said. Haley didn't speak until the judge addressed her. "Miss Steinfeld, did you arrange this outside the order?" "No," Haley said. "It was preserved for verification." The clerk marked it as Exhibit 12. Ethan's attorney opened his mouth, then shut it, and wrote something on his pad. Dana moved to the next tab and asked to introduce subpoenaed records from Oak Grove Women's Health and the State Child Support Registry. Ethan's attorney objected, then asked for a sidebar, but the judge denied it. Dana approached the witness stand with a thin packet and handed it to the clerk. The first page listed Ethan's full name, then another child's, with a different mother. "Mr. Cole, are these your payment records?" the judge asked. Ethan's face drained as he stared at the paper, not at Haley. His attorney whispered, and Ethan shook his head as if denial erased ink. Ethan tried to speak, but the judge cut him off and asked Dana one question about relevance. Dana answered that Ethan's credibility mattered because he'd accused Haley of deceit while hiding his own. The judge turned back to Ethan. "Do you still claim she lied about the child?" the judge asked. Ethan's throat worked. I was misled," he said. Haley sat with her hands folded, looking straight ahead. She didn't need to add anything. The room waited for Ethan to find a new story, and he couldn't. Dana rested palm on the table, and the judge reached for notes. The judge asked the clerk to pull up the proposed order and spoke slowly, choosing each word like it would be reread later. He said the court would consider defamation, interference, and dishonesty tied to custody requests. Ethan's attorney started to stand, then sat again. Dana placed one more exhibit marker near the edge of the table and slid it back. The judge looked down at the page in front of him. "The court finds there is evidence of slander and deception," he began. "All rise," the bailiff said, and Haley gripped the rail. Her grip tightened. She waited, steady. Haley walked out of the courthouse with Dana beside her and her folder hugged to her ribs. Ethan stayed behind with his attorney, talking fast, eyes hard. Dana didn't let Haley drift toward him. Dana said, "Get home. Save everything. I'll send the written order when it posts." Haley asked, "What do I do with HR?" Dana said, "You stop asking permission. You notify." Dana pressed a copy of the lab report into the folder and walked away to make calls. At home, she set the folder on the corner of the kitchen table and pulled a dusty storage box from the hall closet. It held the things she hadn't wanted to look at. The HR envelope with "effective immediately" circled, her badge with the stripe cut off, and a printed copy of the anonymous complaint Beth had flashed on the monitor. She lined them up like evidence, not memories. Then she opened her laptop, created one new email, and kept it under 10 sentences. The message went to HR, compliance, and the company council address Dana had given her. Subject: record correction. Haley attached the court order, the IT log, and Ethan's email to Jay's manager. She typed, "This complaint originated from my spouse and is now part of pending litigation. Please place this notice in my file, preserve all related records, and confirm who received the anonymous email." She didn't add a greeting beyond her name. Next, she opened the daycare portal and the co-parenting app. The screen asked, "Add co-parent?" She left it alone and updated the authorized pickup list instead. Marisol, her sister, no one else. She stared at the shorter list and said, "The list gets smaller. Life does too." She emailed the director, attached the custody order, and wrote, "Ethan Cole is not authorized to request schedule information by phone. Please document any attempted contact and route questions to me in writing." She hit send before she could soften the wording. She scrolled through her contacts and stopped at Tanya Mills, the analyst who had blurted that HR was looking for her in the hallway. Haley hadn't spoken to Tanya since the badge reader turned red. She typed one sentence and didn't edit it. "Tanya, I need you to confirm you heard the rumor being discussed at work on the morning HR called me in. Can you testify to that if asked?" She sent it, set the phone face down, and returned to the papers. The pen Dana had handed her at the retainer meeting still sat in the folder's pocket, ink smudged on the clip. Haley pulled it out, wiped it with a paper towel, and opened the kitchen drawer where she kept batteries and spare keys. She placed the pen there, not on top, not hidden, just stored. Then she folded the HR termination letter and slid it into a clear sleeve with the court order, replacing the crumpled envelope she'd been carrying around. The badge went back into the storage box, face up, like a retired tool. A notification popped up from the co-parenting app. Ethan had sent a message outside the thread, a plain text that read, "You're embarrassing me." Haley didn't answer it. She copied it into the app, labeled it "Unapproved Contact," and replied through the court channel. "Use this app for child-related messages only." She attached the judge's temporary order and nothing else. The app showed "Delivered." She set the phone down and opened the final pay envelope from HR, separated the benefits notice from the tax form, and photographed each page for Dana. When her printer beeped for low ink again, she wrote the benefit deadline on her calendar by hand. Tanya replied an hour later, not with sympathy, but with a fact. "I heard people say Ethan told them you cheated. I also saw him waiting near Lot C that day." Haley screenshot the message, saved it to 2 folders, and forwarded it to Dana with the subject, "Witness." She didn't add commentary. She printed the screenshot anyway and slipped it behind exhibit tabs she'd already numbered. When her son wandered into the kitchen with a toy truck, she set the papers aside, washed his hands, and gave him a snack, keeping the folder within reach. Later that night, she stacked the exhibits, slid the storage box back into the closet, and left the court order on top of the folder where she could grab it. Her phone vibrated with a message from Dana. "The final order is entered. The court requires your signature on the parenting plan today." Haley signed the parenting plan on her phone at the kitchen table, then drove straight to Dana Whitaker's office to sign again in ink. Dana flipped through the pages, checked dates, and slid a copy of the final order across the desk. "Full legal custody to you," Dana said.
Visits are supervised until the court reviews compliance. Haley initialed the margins, not looking up. Dana handed her a stamped packet and a clerk's instruction sheet, then said, "Today you file this with enforcement and you stop answering him anywhere but the app. No calls, no parking lot talks, no texts." At the county child support and enforcement window, Haley waited behind a man arguing about a missed payment. When her number flashed, she slid the order under the glass. The clerk scanned it, highlighted a section, and spoke in a flat voice. "All communication through the co-parenting app," she said. "Any contact with your employer, daycare, or neighbors is prohibited."
She pointed at the sanction line. "Violations can mean fines or reduced visitation." Haley nodded and asked for receipts, timelines, and a case number. The clerk printed them, stapled everything, and pushed the packet back. She tucked it into the folder. Ethan was in the hallway outside the courtroom when they exited, jaw set, eyes bright with anger he tried to sell as worry. He stepped toward Haley, but a deputy held out an arm. "You got what you wanted," Ethan said. "I wanted the truth," Haley replied. Ethan's attorney leaned in and murmured, but Ethan kept going. "This isn't over." Dana lifted her phone and opened the app thread. "It is over outside this channel," she said. The deputy pointed at the posted rules. Ethan swallowed, nodded once, and walked off without another word. Haley didn't follow him with eyes. HR agreed to meet with compliance present. Beth sat across from Haley and placed a letter on the table. "Our investigation found no misconduct on your part," Beth said. "The complaint was malicious and externally motivated." Beth didn't apologize. She offered terms. The company would issue a clearance memo to Haley's file, notify managers who received the rumor email, and reimburse a portion of lost wages through a settlement agreement. Haley read the memo, signed the receipt, and asked for a copy for her attorney and the daycare. Beth handed it over, then added, "Your badge will be reactivated tomorrow." Word traveled through the neighborhood in the same slow, cowardly way it had arrived. At daycare, a parent who had avoided Haley's gaze for weeks stepped closer by the cubbies. "I always believed you," the woman said. Haley adjusted her son's backpack strap. "Next time, say it sooner," she replied. The woman blinked, then mumbled something about being busy. Outside, the neighbor who'd asked her not to knock now waved from a porch chair without leaving it. Haley waved back once, kept walking, and signed the pickup sheet with the court order clipped behind it. Nobody said Ethan's name aloud. Back home, Haley opened the co-parenting app and accepted the court's new schedule. Supervised visits appeared as short blocks, each with a location field that had to be chosen. Ethan sent one message. "Can we talk like adults?" Haley replied through the app. "Use this for logistics." She uploaded the order again and muted notifications. A bank alert popped up showing a deposit labeled "Court-Ordered Damages." Dana had warned her the payment would arrive without ceremony. Haley didn't open the details. She forwarded the notice to her accounting folder and kept her thumb on the calendar screen until it loaded. Marisol met her in the parking lot outside daycare with a snack pack and a tired grin. "How's the victory lap?" Marisol asked. "It's mostly paperwork," Haley said. Marisol nodded toward the folder. "That's what winning looks like." They walked to the car together. Marisol didn't celebrate. She checked the next exchange time and offered to sit with Haley's son during the supervised pickup window. Haley accepted without arguing. On the ride home, she stopped by the post office to send Dana the HR clearance memo, then filed the receipt with the court packet like it was another lab label. Haley turned into the employee lot a few minutes before her shift, parked in the same row she used to avoid, and shut off the engine. Her phone sat on the console without lighting up. No new threats, no anonymous concern, no late-night demands. She grabbed her badge from the cup holder, the replacement HR had issued after the investigation closed, and walked toward the entrance with her lunch bag and a folder that had finally gotten thinner. At the door, she tapped the badge once. The reader chirped green. That single sound felt more practical than emotional, like a machine doing its job again. She walked through, nodded at the security guard, and didn't slow down to check who was watching. In the hallway, Tanya Mills stepped out of a lab bay with a cart of supplies and stopped short. "Hey, Haley." "Morning," Haley said.
Tanya glanced at Haley's badge, then at the folder. "I got your email," Tanya said. "I answered Dana's questions." "Thank you," Haley replied. Tanya shifted her weight like she wanted to say something comforting and couldn't find a safe version. "I'm sorry," Tanya said. Haley didn't make it a moment. "Next time, report the rumor the same day," she said. "That's all I needed." Tanya nodded, cheeks flushing, then pushed the cart forward as if she'd been dismissed. Haley kept walking to her workstation, logged in with the restored credentials, and pulled up the schedule she'd rebuilt for herself. Work hours, daycare hours, exchange windows. The supervised visits were locked into the co-parenting app like recurring appointments, and her calendar held them the way it held staff meetings. Non-negotiable, documented, boring on purpose. Her new manager, a woman named Rochelle, stopped at her desk with a clipboard. "HR cleared you," Rochelle said. "They want me to remind you we don't discuss personal matters at work." "That works for me," Haley said. Rochelle watched her for a beat, maybe expecting gratitude. "We're short on QA coverage," Rochelle added. "If you can take the afternoon batch review, I'll reassign the rest." Haley nodded. "Send it over." By lunch, a younger analyst hovered near her desk, twisting a badge lanyard like it was a rope. "Can I ask you something?" the analyst said. Haley waited. "My ex keeps emailing my supervisor," the analyst said. "Not about work. He says it's for safety." Haley opened a blank document and pushed her chair back so the analyst could see without leaning. "Write down each contact," Haley said. "Date, time, who he reached. Then send it to HR and copy compliance." The analyst blinked. "Won't that make it worse?" "It makes it traceable," Haley replied. "Don't carry it alone." The analyst nodded, shoulders lowering, and walked away like she'd been handed a tool instead of a pep talk. After work, Haley drove to daycare and signed the pickup sheet. A parent near the cubbies fumbled with her phone, whispering to a teacher about an app glitch. "The authorized list disappeared," the parent said. "I don't want the wrong person showing up." Haley held out her own screen. "Update it in writing with the director," she said, "and ask them to log every call." The parent looked up, startled. "Did that happen to you?" "It happened," Haley said. She strapped her son into a seat and met Marisol at their old diner, the one that had kept refilling coffee when Haley couldn't afford distraction. Marisol slid into the booth, set down a napkin, and pushed a small slip of paper across the table. "Licensed babysitter," Marisol said, background checked. Haley picked up the paper and read the name and number once. "I just won a court case," she said. "Now I need to win sleep." Marisol's mouth twitched, not quite a smile, and she lifted her mug. That's the real victory. Haley paid, folded the babysitter number into her wallet, and walked back out with her son on her hip. In the parking lot, she opened the car door, set him into the seat, and buckled the harness until it clicked. She climbed in, locked the doors, and started the engine, pulling out of the lot without turning her head to see who might still be there.